You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Saturday was a massive day for LSU, and it was a day that many of us have been waiting on and quite honestly expecting for some time. But it became official. Five-star wide receiver out of Baton Rouge, Cali High. Shelton Sampson made it official in a ceremony at the school. He picked LSU over his other finalists, Alabama, Texas A&M, and Florida State. Look, we first became aware of Shelton Sampson the summer after his freshman season when he was a rising sophomore, when he ran a sub 4.4 40-yard dash at the Cur Dog Combine. Immediately offers started rolling in. LSU certainly was among them. And Shelton Sampson this weekend put an end to his recruitment by picking the Tigers. This is massive for so many reasons. I'll give you my take in a second. Here was Shelton on his decision to pick LSU.
I'm from Baton Rouge, so the question was really, why not? Why not go to LSU? I mean, I love how genuine the coaching staff is, and I just feel like everything going in the right direction.
And there was also, of course, the hashtag Shelton Stays movement on social media. Here was his reaction to that.
I wouldn't say it was a defining moment, but when the Shelton Stays, that was like a big, important role. Nah, it was crazy. Like when I first saw it, I was just shocked. Like I didn't even have no words. But it definitely played a big part in me committing.
Everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Know they're appreciated. And certainly LSU fans, players, current, future, and former, all made that apparent as well. So, for some very obvious reasons, getting Shelton Sampson's commitment is big. He's a five-star wide receiver from Baton Rouge. Okay, but a little more than a month ago, the biggest questions that we had about Brian Kelly were, could he recruit the state? We talked about it here. I told you I wasn't freaking out about it or anything along those lines, but it was something that we had to consider when you were talking about the fact that Derek Williams left the state. You knew Arch Manning was going to Texas. Eli Holstein was going to Alabama. Jaden Osbury didn't have LSU on his list. Again, I'm not saying any of that was Brian Kelly's fault. There's circumstance that was involved in a lot of that. Eli Holstein and Arch Manning would never come in LSU. Jaden Osbury wanted to leave. It didn't matter who the coach was. Okay, some of that you get. So the question was going to be in time, could you see this? Could you see Brian Kelly and his staff put the fence around the state and keep the best players home? That's why Tyree Adams, the commitment out of St. Aug, was so big. And now you look at what's happening right now. You get Shelton Sampson. Look at what's going to happen this week. Ricky Collins, quarterback from Woodlawn, who decommitted from Purdue. He's going to commit on Wednesday. It's likely he's going to pick LSU. Kylan Jackson, the safety out of Zachary. He's going to commit on Saturday. The expectation he's going to pick LSU. So in a 7-day span and really a little less than a 2-week span, you'll have gotten 4 players from Louisiana, 3 in a 7-day period in Baton Rouge. That's doing exactly what any coach at LSU has to do to win championships. Keep the best players in Louisiana in Louisiana. That was a big question, if he could do it. And he's starting to show you, Brian Kelly is, that he and the staff he's assembled are more than capable of doing just that. So that's a big part of it, undeniably, is keeping the best players from Louisiana in Louisiana. The other thing that will probably surprise many of you is just how big of a need spot wide receiver is for LSU. Because we look at Keyshawn Butte, and we look at Jack Besh, and we look at Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas, and Chris Hilton, and Jure Jenkins, and you go, and they're loaded at receiver. And they are. Don't misunderstand me. I think all of those guys are fantastic football players. But typically you want double-digit scholarship receivers on your team. I mean, if you're going to go 4 wide, if you have any type of injuries or defections, transfers, I mean, you want double-digit scholarship receivers on your roster. And after this year, Kayshon Boutte is going pro and Jere Jenkins is a senior, so his eligibility will have been exercised. That leaves you with Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Kyron Lacey's a junior, so he'll have a decision to make if he wants to come back for another year, but provided he does. And then Landon Ibieta. That's 6 scholarship wide receivers. 6. You aren't anywhere close to the numbers you need, and that's provided all those guys come back. I mentioned Lacey could choose to go pro. One of those guys, maybe if they don't play a bunch this year, may choose to transfer. I mean, this year you lost Trey Palmer, Coy Moore, and Deion Smith. You lost 3 guys transferred after this past season. So your numbers could get even thinner. So it is super important in this class in particular for Brian Kelly and the staff to go hard after wide receivers. And right now, the top 2 players in your class are wide receivers. Shelton Sampson, the 5-star out of Baton Rouge, and Jaylen Brown, the 4-star out of Miami. That's 2 top 40 guys nationally. Sampson's number 33 in the composite, and Brown is number 40 in the composite. So you've added those guys already to this class, and you have one more wide receiver commitment in Kyle Parker out of Texas. So you got 3 wide receivers committed already. It's just a big year. Like, I know we don't think of it because the talent is there at receiver, but the numbers aren't. So yes, you have to go attack receiver in this class, and you've done it already with 2 big-time prospects. One more thing that I'll mention, too, is, and I promise this is not a homer comment, it's important to keep that Catholic High pipeline flowing toward LSU. And if you listen to the show for any length of time, you've heard me say this over the past few years, it ain't stopping with Emory Jones, Shelton Sampson. And if you go back, LSU's had a lot of success in the last decade recruiting Catholic High. I mean, you've gotten Geis, and you got Clyde, and you got Emory, and now you've got Shelton Sampson. You've gotten all the big-time prospects you've wanted from Catholic. At other places in town, I mean, U-High has been notable, and we've talked about it. You've gotten some, and you've missed on some. And I always say that every kid's decision is his own to make to go wherever you want. That's if you're an athlete or a scholar or whatever you want to do. Go do you and what's best for you. But that talent pool is far from dried up. I mean, there are more kids in the pipeline that are going to be major college football players that are Catholic right now. And you have built a really good synergy right now, not only what you had with Ed Ozier on staff, and before that with Les Miles, but now also you're starting that with Brian Kelly, which is great to see. So, I mean, congrats to the LSU coaching staff during that transition to put the full court press on, to have Cortez Hankton there, to have Joe Sloan, to have Brian Kelly, to even have some of the like J.R. Belton, to have some of the recruiting guys who aren't, the full-time, on-field staff members who really went hard to make Shelton Sampson a priority and to get him to pick LSU. A dude at a position of need in a year when you need receivers, from your hometown, who you beat to get him, all that just matters so much. So Shelton Sampson picking LSU on Saturday, and LSU should get more good news here this week as well with Ricky Collins and with Kylan Jackson as well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.